Welcome to the MindKind Men's Wellbeing podcast with your host, Nick Morris. Before we begin, a small disclaimer. This podcast has been partly funded by Walsall Public Health as a part of their mental health wellbeing grant. We are very grateful for their support, but would like to confirm that they have no editorial input into this podcast or its content. The views, thoughts and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts or opinions of either the MindKind Projects, Walsall Council or Public Health Walsall, or any other affiliated organisations. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only and is not presented as medical advice. If you'd like to support or more information around mental health and well-being, please see the links below. Please reach out. You are not alone.
So, hello and welcome back. Full disclosure, this will probably be at the very start of the podcast or towards the start, but we actually recorded it after. So what you're probably going to see is us communicating and being a lot more confident on the podcast, and then a lull, and then hopefully we slowly build up back up to this part. But one of the things that I want to do with all of my guests on the podcast, and with yourself, Jamie, is something that I actually do with my kids, and we do at home, and it's one good, one bad. So, or we call it one good, one bad. Sometimes we call it the rose and the thorns. Sometimes we call it the positive and the not so positive. But basically, over the last, and sometimes we do it in the men's group as well, don't we? Over the last 2 weeks, tell me something that's been really, really positive, and something that's been not so positive, or something that you found slightly more challenging. I'll kick us off if you want to.
Go for it. I've got to take a think.
All right. So, for me, I'll start with my challenging one, and we'll end a bit more positive. So, my challenge has been ADHD. ADHD behaviours. I told you the other day that basically I found this piece of I needed something for work. I kept it somewhere safe, because ADHD people always have specific places for everything. It really helps, and then you don't have to think about it. It just goes there. So I did that. Absolutely amazing. And then the evening before I needed this document, I was like, right, I know where that is. I'll put it somewhere safe so I can just grab it in the morning, which was just a silly error on my behalf. And the next day, I'm searching absolutely everywhere, and I know in my mind, I'm like, this is my ADHD. I cannot place this. I do not know. This has happened far too often, and it really helped me. I think one of the positives of that was that I needed reminding of the fact that the ADHD, although part of me, and part of my brain development, it's not necessarily me and the sum total of me and my personality and it's something separate, but something that is also included as well. It's complicated. And I was searching everywhere, and I remember thinking to myself, damn my ADHD. It's really messed me up a little bit this time, and I've made a mistake by not following my system, and it just really made me think of how many times I've lost my keys. Like, I mean, being here, where are my keys?
Yes.
Where are my keys?
Every day,
every single day. Where are my keys? And it really sounds like I was. It sounds really silly. I just misplaced something that I knew I would find. I knew it was what building it was in. It wasn't gone forever. But it just came at that time where I just needed to get out the door, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I don't know. It really, it just really impacted me. Like, I felt not like close to tears, or not quite there, but I was really frustrated, and I found myself getting angry with myself initially, and then I stopped myself and went, no, this is the ADHD, and you just need to follow your systems and don't, it's not you're failing as a human being. But I've really got to that point where I was like, I wasn't kind to myself, and that was my bad. I suppose in some ways it's my good, because I kind of dealt with it, but that was my bad because I thought I can't keep misplacing things. So that was my bad. My good has been, I think this. I've really enjoyed this. It's been a really positive experience. Obviously, it's weird now because we're doing this after the podcast was recorded, but people will hear it first. So I'm thankful for what you're about to hear, which is which is weird. But no, I've really enjoyed it, and I think for us to have a space where we can talk openly, and lots of different men, and hopefully lots of different men and not just men will listen to this. Yeah, I'm really happy and quite thankful for that. So that's my positive and not so positive. What about yourself?
I'll start with the negative, shall I?
Go for it.
I have tried to improve my social battery quite a lot. It has been still rather short from where it was. Slowly improving, but I have noticed certain parts, because we've had our friends over.
Yeah.
Stayed with us for a while, and my social battery is really detrimental of me enjoying myself, because it's important to have that interaction. Like they're only here for a bit, because then one's flying over to their home country, so I really want to get as much out of it as possible. But the social battery becomes difficult to argue with.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I've got to work on it slowly to build it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, the more I get to know them, the less energy they take away with that. But I need to have that initial oomph of battery still. But I'm struggling with just working around that and finding solutions.
So you and your other half have got Peter. They're staying with you, or
They were, yeah.
yeah.
They were.
Which is you're hosting.
Yeah,
and then you know them, but you
makes me feel like
your other half's initially your other half's friends, aren't they? And okay, that is like, I know when I've hosted people before, and there comes a part where I'm like, I love you, but I need a morning to just.
That's the duality, though.
Not interact with you.
The duality is I really want to.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no bad side to it. I really want to socially interact, but I'm gonna need to go face down after this. So yeah.
I guess part of it is kind of recognizing when you're getting near that point.
Yeah.
And going and taking, I guess a break rather than a extended break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just to bring that down a little bit.
Don't get to the critical point.
Yeah.
You got to have those little breaks.
Yeah. Don't get to that point where you're like, get out of my house for 2 weeks. It's better to go and go away for an hour. And then possibly think that you're. But I guess if you explain it to them, hey, I just need an hour to myself, and then possibly because they're staying with you, possibly they're like, yeah, us too.
Yeah, to be fair, there's a few breaks we can get and stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, it's not bad at all. Like, it is bad,
yeah,
to the fact that it's something I've noticed I need to work on, to just recognize within myself, find those breaks or find a solution to it.
Yeah,
but it's not something that's dragging me down completely.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things that, like, I want to eat.
There's another challenge.
This. Yeah, yeah, okay. And what good?
Quite a few goods recently. Now, I mean, we had the friends over, which was fantastic. They are great people. Did a lot of bowling. I've gotten better at bowling. There you go.
There you go. So, mental well-being, bowling. Who knew?
It matched that. To be fair, any physical activity that gets you up and going, pretty good for your mental health in general.
Yeah.
Better if it's outside.
I like how professional you were there.
Oh, yes.
So I'm like, yeah, bowling's, man, you're, well, actually, for mental health.
Pretty good.
No,
yeah.
it's true. No,
it's true.
It is true. And are you getting better at it?
I am getting better at it slowly.
Yeah.
I twist, apparently, my arm too much, and it just makes it curve for no reason. So,
well, there you go. Look, come for the mental health, stay for the bowling tips.
Yeah. I could coach one day. Yeah, that'll be wrap it up for me. Yeah,
We're recording.
yeah.
Hello, Jamie Robson.
Good day.
Good day. Good day. It's good to it's good to sit down with you. So obviously, we've known each other for quite some time. You've been working with the MindKind projects for about a year and a half, and as you know, we're doing this podcast because ultimately we want men to hear healthy conversations around mental health and well-being, and actually to break down the stigma.
Yes.
And I think I can think of no one better to sit down with and actually speak about your journey. And because there's a lot of things I think that people could really take away from that. No pressure.
No pressure.
But it's all about something.
That's what it's there for.
This is what it's there for. So yeah, you've been working with us for about a year and a half.
Yeah, about that.
And I would say that a lot's happened in that year and a half. And I would say that there's probably a lot of changes within you in that year and a half. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
A leading question there.
I think completely different person from where I was to where I am now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about where you were. Let's go back.
Go back in time, about a year and a half ago.
About a year and a half ago.
I was not in a good place.
Yeah.
No, I was very much depressed, struggling with my ADHD, had no job, just moved from Sittingbourne up to Walsall.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was not good. Not a good place. And I didn't think things were going to get better either. At all.
So you didn't think things were going to get better. So how did it come about that we met?
I got prescribed. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. I got prescribed through the system. I think I went for the GP.
Yeah.
And it took ages for them to get back to me.
Yeah.
But when they did, I got a ring from you.
Yeah.
And we went to the Arboretum to have a good walk around.
A good walk around.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to the doctors. What did you say to the doctor?
I think I didn't even go into the doctors because that's pretty difficult nowadays.
Yeah. That's a whole podcast within itself.
Oh, that is. I gave him a ring, and I said I need mental health support.
Yeah.
I just moved. Funny enough, the reason I even started talking to the GP again was because I got a girlfriend, and this is the reason I moved up, and I knew I needed to change at that point. I really needed to change because I was not in a good place at all. So I gave them a ring and said I needed help, and they said they'd get back to me, and that was a good few months.
Yeah.
In between those and actually getting support.
So what? Because to make that call,
yeah,
you know, that's not an easy call to make.
No, it was not. The amount of anxiety I felt during even trying to take that call was extreme.
Yeah.
But I was, before that point, I was pretty hopeless. I didn't feel the need to change because I was so broken, feeling within myself.
Yeah.
A little bit before that, I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy alcoholic, especially during like COVID time, and then after that, and then I sort of tapered it off when I got my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But it was almost the feeling like I'm gonna do it out of necessity.
Yeah.
But there was that little twinkle of hope of I'm gonna need to change.
Okay, so what you're gonna need to change? You had that little twinkling of hope. What had you done before that? Because there's for most people, recognizing that there's a mental, for most men particularly.
Yes.
Recognizing, all right, there's something that needs to change here. You know, my well-being's in the floor, and I'm not feeling good. The next step to call the GP is not, for most people, not the logical next step. So what had you done prior to that?
I've been in the system before.
Yeah,
quite a few times.
You said that like kind of, you know, that the character in a film that's like, I've seen some things, man.
That's
I've been in the system, man.
that's, as you said, a whole nother podcast in itself. Before, to me, it's the NHS is great. There's quite a few flaws. The system always could be better.
Of course.
But where I went around, I went to, in secondary school, I went through the system. I dropped out of college, went through the system again. And then after that, I went through the system a third time.
Yeah.
It's like the fourth time, and it was finally successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Do you think it's the system that kind of met you where they needed to meet you, or do you think that you were different? There was something within you that was different that actually, like, you used the word hopeless, and then you had that glimmer of hope. What was different this time? Was it the system, and that's one question, or and was it also you?
Honestly,
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
It was like the system has its failings,
Yeah.
but there are good people in it, a lot of good people, and people who work super hard to do the best they possibly can with what they're given.
Yeah.
But I think before this point, I wasn't ready for that change.
Yeah.
I was still dealing with a lot of trauma from school, from college, and then after that. So I think a lot of it is I just found I'm ready to change. I've got that bit of hope.
Yeah.
And then I found the right people to help me change. Because beforehand, it was very much you sit down in a counselling room or therapy room and they just either tell you what's wrong with you
Yeah.
and then try to get you to force you to change, or just go into the wrong places to get help for wherever I am at that point.
Yeah. So there's two things there. There's you not being. You say that previously you felt that you were forced to change, so that kind of says that maybe there was something that within you that it wasn't quite there.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously meeting you when you were there and supporting you on that journey. So what had you, before you'd made that call, had you saying that your mental health was poor? What did that look like?
A lot of lethargy.
Yeah.
A lot of just not having energy, not moving.
Yeah.
I have ADHD, dyslexia, and depression,
Yeah.
which anyone who does any research will know a lot of those coexist together.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. A lot of the time, statistically. The ADHD stopped me doing things.
Yeah.
It really impacted how I would initiate even doing things. Of course, the depression destroys your mood so much and your energy and motivation to do anything. And with all of those working together, it's very hard to find that the handhold to climb back up. Yeah. It's a lot of not eating, not drinking, not sleeping, or sleeping too much, not moving, not getting out the house. Yeah. Cutting off so many social connections.
So why did you? And we'll go it because there's obviously there's certain trauma and things from the past, and if you're comfortable, we'll go into that. But what was it? Because you agreed to meet me in the Arboretum, which for those that don't know is basically a local park. It's kind of underselling it a bit. It's a lovely,
it's a beautiful park, lovely lake.
It's a beautiful place, but you know, to agree to come and meet me, and actually we'll go for a walk. Like that's, you're talking about the lethargy and the kind of motivation, I suppose. Although that's a loaded word, but the motivation to actually go and meet with someone, like. That's not always easy. What was it that made you be like, right, I'm gonna meet with Nick, and I'm gonna just see what this is all about?
I think it's multi-parted.
Yeah.
You caught me on a good day, or a better day than usual, which very much helps. I came up to Walsall for my girlfriend, who has been a massive supporting factor in that. And I know I had to change for the better for her. I think I was at the point where I've got to change, or I'm just gonna waste away.
Yeah.
At that point, almost the apathy rolled on itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So compounded apathy and like, well, if it's not, and I remember when we met, and there was a sense from you of, right. I got this sense you were clearly highly intelligent. You were clearly at a point where you're like, well, this has got to work. That's the wrong phrase, but there was an expectation of there was an expectation of meeting you. I don't think it's really going to work, but there was also an expectation I felt on me, of almost like, come on, I'm here now. Let's see what you do your, not magic, that's the wrong word, but yeah, do your work, sort it out, because it's took me so much to get to this point that you need to do something, because it's hard for me to get to this point where I'm agreeing to meet with you. So there's almost like a pressure on that meeting, and I think one of the things that I did quite quickly was call that.
Yes.
And
I tested you very heavily. Like, I'm used to therapists and counsellors doing like their tricks and they're getting around and their wordplay, and I deconstructed you very fast.
Quickly.
And you got it. You snapped on it right away.
Yeah, there was no kind of
I was very nihilistic then. Well,
and I said that to you.
Yeah, you called it. Yeah.
I said you're very nihilistic, and you're challenging me. And I remember we made an agreement. I said, right, let's just have a chat, and I'll try and make sure my questions aren't too loaded, and I'll try not to trick you into having conversations about anything that you don't want to. Let's just talk. And I think that was what I picked up on, was that I needed to show you that I was a human being.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're not just another therapist, another counsellor.
Yeah.
Trying to get through the process.
Yeah.
Like, it's very humanizing. That's what it was.
Yeah, and it was, but you told me about a lot of the stuff in your past, and kind of, one of the first questions is, so why are you meeting me here today? Which is a loaded question. Yeah. But I said that to you. I said, this is a loaded question. Why are you meeting me here today? And you can take that wherever you want. You can say, well, I got nothing better to do, which is fair. Which ain't a bad answer. But you picked up on that and kind of thankfully felt comfortable to share some of the things from your past. So yeah, you were testing me. And we were having a conversation, and I said to you, all right, tell me about yourself. What kind of stuff did you tell me?
I got to trust on my memory. That's always a challenge.
It's two blokes with ADHD.
Yeah.
I've got to try and
challenging.
Use my memory.
I remember. I went into philosophy a little bit.
Yeah, you did.
Because
you were asking me if I'd read this person and that person.
Yeah, I was like, let's pin you down.
Yeah.
Because as much as you were psychoanalyzing me,
I
was psychoanalyzing you to try to pin you down of like where is this guy's values, morals.
Felt like a battle.
Yeah.
It did feel like we were and I didn't that's not how it should be. It's all about working together, and
it's what was needed at that point.
Yeah.
But that healthy challenge.
Yeah, you were challenging me, and then I think one of the key things was that I said, right, I can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I tried to diffuse it and say, let's just have a conversation. And I told you a little bit about my journey.
Yes.
And my mental health and kind of how I got to be where I was. And then you kind of let your guard down and said, right, this is me. This is where I am. But if I'd have said to you, what did you want to get from meeting me?
Don't know. Chance. Just a chance.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to change. I knew to do something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to get anywhere if I didn't.
Yeah.
So it was very much just hopeful change of like, if this person is more down to earth, more my wavelength, then I could roll with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I think one of the reasons why I wanted to, why you sat down agreed to do this podcast, and one of the reasons why at MindKind we want to do this podcast is that there's so many people that are about to make that call, that want to make that call, or they know that something needs to change, because ultimately that's what it all comes down to. Something has to change. And what I want to get across to people, it's really important, is that actually, if you don't make that call, but if you don't do something different within your life, if something doesn't change, then nothing's gonna change. It's as simple as that. And I think waiting for something to change. Now you can do one or two things. You can wait for something to change, or you can actively do something to try and invoke that change. And you did that.
Yeah, I think a part of it as well is you're gonna have to choose to change or not to change.
Yeah.
But either way, if you choose to change, doesn't mean you have to change alone.
Yeah.
The support systems are there, and a part of that is making sure they know, or in my case, make sure I knew there was a support system there, because once you get thrown around a bit in the system, you're like, nothing works.
Yeah.
The system has failed me completely.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I do, it's not going to help.
Yeah.
But that little bit of hope of like, it's got to work. And then I got reinforced of like, there can be positive change here. And then I chose myself to change, because the reason it didn't work all these other times before is because I was not ready to change.
Yeah.
I was happy in my nihilistic views. I was happy with just self-destructive behavior, a lot of it. And then I've gotten to the point where I don't want to be destructive anymore to myself. I need to do better.
Sometimes though, I think like what you said there, but I was happy not to change, but you were clearly unhappy.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's not necessarily, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but it's not necessarily I was happy in my unhappiness. It was I was comfortable. I was used to. It was learned behaviour.
I was about to use the word content. I was content in my own pain.
Yeah. And I think there's this where's it from? You know, when in many ways it's like conditioning.
Yeah.
And you excuse me, you accept, we quickly adapt to what life becomes and what our normal is. You know, there's this old saying, I want to butcher this, but basically, like, you know, animals will not challenge their, there's this old saying where there's like an elephant on a leash, and this leash is like, it's literally like a piece of rope that this elephant can clearly walk away from and break. But they don't, because it's that learned behaviour of I can't do that. And I think that and I've been susceptible to that before, of I do the same things every day. When I was going through when my mental health was really, really poor, I knew something had to change. Like I knew it had to change. I knew that I couldn't keep self-medicating. I knew that I couldn't keep waking up late, going to bed late, not eating, not speaking to anyone, no exercise, staying in bed all day because depression was killing me. I knew something had to change, but I was so used to and conditioned that that's how things were, that I didn't, there was a time where I was like, I didn't know if things could change, but two, did I deep down really, I was scared of them changing at the same time.
Oh, that actually brings me on to let's go with this. So brainwave. The being scared to change.
Yeah.
Very much true. So you expect yourself to be you now.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think, oh, I'll just be me now in the future.
Yeah.
No, we always change.
Yeah.
Always change. Like it's like I don't blame my bullies anymore in school, because they're different people now.
Yeah.
The people they were in school, they bullied me. The people they are now, they've had their own life experiences.
Yeah.
They may feel bad, they may not feel bad, but they're not the same people. I can't be angry with them all the time. when I took ADHD medication,
Yeah.
which I can't remember exactly which one it was.
Yeah.
But it did not change me in the better. It made me completely emotionless.
Okay.
It brought me from going up and down to just deadline.
Yeah.
And it really messed me up. I went off them really fast and not good for me. But I
Yeah.
changed, and I still don't take ADHD medication
Yeah.
because I'm terrified of what it will change me into. And I'm still dealing with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to change, and yet I want to change so much as I go naturally.
Yeah.
Because
So I think what's really interesting is that you spoke about going around the system quite a few times, and then there's almost when you made that phone call, was there a fear of, because you had to get yourself to that point where you, like you said, you had to build yourself up to make that phone call. Were you scared that you're saying the system failed you previously? What do you think that would have done to you had you had that same experience?
I might have just given up at that point.
Yeah.
So every time it fails me, it's like, just what's the point?
Yeah.
It's crippling. It's absolutely crippling. It's just, you expect something to work in a certain way, and when it doesn't, you get slapped emotionally for it.
Yeah.
When I shouldn't be thinking like that. It's like, I got help. It wasn't the right help.
Yeah.
But you got to keep the hope there is the right help out there for you.
Yeah.
Because there is. There's always a solution to the problems.
Yeah. And that's a very masculine way of, like, if we look at mental health, and it's not necessarily only men, but the like studies tell us that the way men don't always frame, and again we're talking very general, but based on the studies, men don't always frame mental health in the context of this is a mental health issue. They see it as kind of, I'm following I need to fix this problem. How do I solve this problem? And the more you try and solve the problem, and if that doesn't fix the problem, then that sense of hopelessness is really, like I say, it grows and grows and grows to the point where, is this ever gonna get fixed? But then for you, it sounds like quite quickly you realise that actually, yeah, I need some support, but ultimately the change needs to come from me. I need to do things differently.
It's very purpose driven. Men, well, humans in general, we got the big brains. We like solving puzzles. We like fixing things.
Yeah.
But men very much emotionally, in general, internalize that as a problem solving thing.
Yeah.
So if you frame mental health as, not saying you have to fix per se, but a problem to solve,
Yeah.
it very much helps. Because every time I went into mental health support before, it was very much, we're going to sit you down, we're going to tell you what's wrong with you, and here's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem to solve. That's just, it's something's wrong with you. You're broken.
Yeah.
And when you get a healthy challenge of just discussing with someone, like we did in the Arboretum, it's just, here's the problems. Now, how are you going to solve it?
Yeah.
What's your purpose of fixing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but one issue with that though is that if you frame it as a problem to solve, and some of the things when it comes to mental health are well beyond people's control.
Yeah.
When you don't quickly solve that problem, that's internalized as well. Well, there's something wrong with me. I know with my ADHD, I sometimes can, and I've had to work really hard to resolve this. But with my ADHD, because it's not, I don't know, this is really cliche to say, but mental health, it's not a broken leg, it's not diabetes where you can track the levels of insulin. It's not as simple as that. It feels very much more internal.
Yeah.
And mental health is very much biopsychosocial, biological, psychological, and social issues compounded. But quite often with mental health, it feels very much linked to you and your personality and who you are, your values, so when it came to my ADHD, when I was finding something really difficult, when I couldn't solve the problem, it felt like a real personal failing. Like it felt like I am not intelligent enough to solve this problem. I am not good enough to solve this problem. And that framing is really self-destructive, because quite often that's going to lead to, well, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm an idiot, this keeps happening. And that's just a slippery slope down to kind of self-hatred and all the things that come along with that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. My way of framing it is not the best.
No, it's not. I think they're concurrently, and I think there's overlaps. I don't think it's right or wrong.
I think it works for me in a particular way.
Yeah,
It's because how I frame things is not typically how a lot of people frame things.
yeah,
Because I found myself with a lack of empathy.
Yeah.
In a lot of things. So especially when I dropped out of college.
yeah,
And I went through big things we'll probably discuss a bit later.
yeah,
I found myself a lack of empathy, and I became very logical thinking
with yourself and others.
with self and others.
Yeah,
And now I've had to learn how to add emotion to things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it makes me feel like a psychopath, but I know I'm not, because I still feel things.
yeah,
They've been so muted by the other trauma, and I had to relearn what emotions felt to me.
yeah.
Because the medication really kicked it out of sync.
Okay.
I didn't understand what angry was for
Yeah.
quite a while after those. But when I say it's a problem, that helps me go logically. That's something to solve. Though failure is a big thing.
Do you think that was because you say that's medication and
I blame a lot on it.
Not doctors.
Not doctor.
Put a little disclaimer about medication.
I will
in there,
say
but
medication does help people.
yeah,
If you get the right medication and with the right support, it does help. It just didn't work for me.
it didn't fit. Yeah, and
It wasn't
and
the right
everyone's-
medication.
Yeah, and everyone's different. So I'm not.
No.
Didn't work. It didn't work. But what's interesting is that you're talking about almost learning feelings, learning emotions, but in many ways, that emotional regulation, that's very much linked to ADHD. How you learn to have appropriate emotions, but also as a trauma response to, like you said, you were bullied really, really heavily. So in many ways, do you feel that you'd learned the skill, the coping mechanism of actually kind of naturally subduing your emotions?
You know what? Yeah, pretty much. Definitely there's two ways around bullying I found,
Yeah,
and that's fight back hard enough
Yeah.
that you're not worth it,
yeah,
or completely shut off to the point where it doesn't matter what they do to you, has no effect.
yeah,
Then there's no payoff for them. That's the two ways I found to get around bullying.
yeah. But
So
then,
definitely partly a learnt skill in that regard.
so are you saying that because you were bullied, you almost learned to turn the volume down on your own emotions because you to save yourself from the pain of the emotional pain of being bullied?
You just very, very generally a man thing, suppressing those emotions
Yeah.
deep inside, become as stoic as possible without actually dealing with the emotions. Pardon me.
It's
Maybe
a problem to yeah. I can see that it's a problem. Yeah, it's taking the emotion out of being bullied, which is sounds ridiculous because it's an emotional thing, but yeah, again, same. I can kind of relate to that.
so you fight fire with fire,
Yeah,
or you just don't give it fuel.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then learning after how to turn the volume back up on your emotions for
Yes.
you in a healthy way.
If you don't shut your emotions down in a healthy way, like dealing with it in other ways,
Yeah.
it's just going to build.
So how did you deal with your emotions?
That's the fun part. I didn't.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for a lot of my life. I did not. It built and built and built until hell, we'll go into college.
Yeah.
During college, I went into paranoia.
Yeah.
I drank a lot of energy drinks, like 5 or 6 a day,
Yeah.
which is well above the recommended amount, even for like the top limit, I think, for caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, no expert, but yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
well, like 5 or 6 energy drinks. You must have been running through walls.
Funny thing is, I wasn't, because of course ADHD,
The dopamine,
it's a stimulation.
Yeah,
It's a stimulant, so at first it calms me more,
yeah,
but then as I drank more to cope, it worsened the mental health. So from the outside, dead calm,
yeah,
perfectly fine, maybe a bit twitchy,
yeah, yeah.
but inside it started to mess with the head, and not dealing with built up emotions, all that trauma, all the heaviness. At one point, I started seeing things,
Yeah.
because I got to the point where I got paranoia, and then paranoid hallucinations. And I'd be walking through, because I had to go to a different town for college. So
Yeah.
I'd get a bus to, bus from. And on the bus, all the way there, all the time I was there, all the way back, I'd end up seeing, which a lot of people might be common for, hallucination-wise, is shadow people.
Yeah.
Terrifying little buggers. They creep in the corner of your
Yeah.
or corner of your eyes. They're around corners. They're around people.
Yeah.
And the paranoia basically was attacking me from all angles, and it completely collapsed my college, and I dropped out and went back into the system to get rid of that.
So how did you? All right. So these shadow people, this psychosis and paranoia. So college age. So how old would you have been?
Straight 16, 17?
16, 17.
16.
You'd been bullied heavily in primary and secondary. College,
Secondary school. Primary school was actually okay-ish.
yeah. So secondary school, you've been bullied, and then you get to go to college. I suspect there was a sense of, right, I get to escape all that now.
A little bit.
And then lo and behold,
Comes and attacks me again.
yeah, lo and behold, here's, all right, that's gone. It's some more stuff to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Like
And
how
it's connected, though.
yeah, of course.
It's very much connected. It's not just built up emotions, but the previous trauma that hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah.
As soon as I started getting hallucinations, it was audio, visual, and sensory,
Yeah.
which is not fun. And it was very much threat. I saw threats around every single corner, which was related to
Which
the bullying.
is definitely yeah. That
very
sense
much.
of that threat response.
Yeah.
That you know, you don't have to be an expert to kind of draw the line. Yeah,
Two and two together.
Connect those two. So how did you? I mean, you were like you say, you were a young age, and then suddenly you're seeing. How did you know that those things weren't there?
I just didn't at first. I
Yeah.
had to logically break it down. Obviously, when the paranoia starts, you can't think straight properly.
Yeah.
It's just straight threat. Your anxiety for no reason. Your heart rate's through the roof.
Yeah.
Um,
You're drinking how many
drinking
cans of
ridiculous
Coke,
energy drinks.
so your heart rate's even more through the
yeah,
roof.
like exploding from my chest.
Yeah.
Walking around this massive college with hundreds of people walking around.
Yeah.
And I just, I did what I did in school. Dealt with it
Yeah.
until I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And I broke, and I remember distinctly, of all the things I couldn't remember in that school, apart from the hallucinations and stuff, the one strong memory is the point where I'm waiting for the bus in my hometown.
Yeah.
I'm standing there, and I stand up when it's coming over the hill, and I didn't wave it down, just goes straight past me.
Yeah.
Couldn't bring the muscles to move, and I looked back, and I was like, no, can't do this. Fast walked all the way home, locked myself down in my room.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. I was catatonic for like a week, and back into psychiatric help. And I was
So how
locked
did
at
that?
home for a long time.
So your family contacted, and then
Yeah, I had to go back into. I'm trying to remember. I went back into therapy after that.
Yeah.
Which, again, after I stopped drinking energy drinks,
yeah,
and then they helped me break it down logically.
yeah,
And I mean, if I get my heart rate up high enough and
Yeah.
I'm feeling anxiety, I can still see them.
yeah.
Like the memory is still burned into me. So
yeah, that must have been that. I can't even imagine like the trauma of that. How did you So you had your parents around you.
Mm.
Did you have anyone else around you at the time? Like anyone that you could speak to about
God,
it?
no,
Not at all.
not at all. Especially like in school.
Yeah.
The school was ineffective dealing with bullying. They were ineffective with understanding my mental health. So there was no support system there. I think at that point, I can't remember what year they brought in safeguard leads, but they did exist, I think, when I was in secondary school. I didn't know they existed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very proud of, like, they exist now
Yeah.
and they work,
Yeah.
but they didn't when I was in school.
But you didn't have that. And I mean, had you had someone say, actually, this is what you're going through, this is what's going on, and let's talk about it.
It's all about strong role models. If you have a strong role model growing up, hold on to that. That's super powerful.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with being inspired by a single person. That's how powerful people are.
Well, that's, to be honest, that's one of the reasons for this podcast is that, and one of the reasons why I was really keen to get you on here is like, I don't know if you're happy with this title or not, but very much your story, you know, you can be that role model, because that story, particularly you know, the bullying, the not speaking about it, unhealthy coping mechanisms, and how that manifests. There's so many people that can listen to that and say, "Wow, that's there's parallels to be drawn."
If there's one thing I've learned from a year and a half ago and now, it's that stories matter. That the things I've gone through, what other people have gone through, you can use that to help other people through the same thing.
Yeah.
If I could use any of my stories to assist someone not struggle through theirs as much, it's well worth.
If I could take this recording back in time to when we first met in the Arboretum, and that nihilistic, I'm talking about like it was like that young nihilistic Jamie didn't have all of this experience, and and what you've just said there about the power of stories, because I completely agree. And the way you frame those stories and the way you look back on those stories, because it'd be easy to look back on that story and see yourself as you framed it in a way that you're the hero of that story, which from a young Ian, those at home, very cold young Ian. But basically, what I mean by that is that there's a way of looking at something called the hero's journey, which is basically we spoke about this, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
You slay for those
Slay the
that
dragon.
you slay the dragon. So basically, we all have our own. If you don't have something that you need to face within your own life, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Or you're not actually really taking part in your life. You're not an active participant. And that story you're telling there is very much, you know, for you to be here and be able to tell that story is you slaying your dragon. Like, look at the stuff that I've been through, and then look at where I am and the goods, and the fact that I can be a role model for other people. That's you slaying the dragon. But at the time, like how, I'll go back to my original question and I'll come back because there's too much good stuff here, Jamie. It's too good. It's too good. What would the young you say about not the young you, the year and a half younger you say about what you're talking about now, about you potentially being a role model and you telling your story and the power of that?
You would have told you to sod off.
What
Absolutely.
So what's changed?
I think I've just increased the value of seeing it. Like, you see, there's a lot of people scroll through TikTok these days.
Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of people posting their stories and helping. That there's good stuff, there's bad stuff, but there's a lot of people on there sharing really good stories.
Yeah.
Of their journeys, and how they've done things to help themselves.
Yeah.
I think back then I didn't see the value of sharing experiences. It was very much, it's my experience, no one cares. very much no one cares,
Yeah.
when that's not right. There's plenty of people out there who really do care about the value of a story to help others.
Yeah.
And now I've seen that value
Yeah.
and know its value because I've seen the effects of it,
Yeah.
not just in myself, in the people we work with, and many, many more.
Yeah. So you really see the value of that. And like I say, when I first met you, I think you said this yourself, if I remember rightly, but it was that sense of there was a real empathetic disconnect with yourself and other people. But that's I feel like that's changed.
I think it's better.
Yeah.
I think I can still be very
That way.
empathetic
Yeah. That way.
to people, and I have to almost catch myself
Yeah.
because it's really difficult. I can put myself into people's shoes, then I have to remember I didn't have those skills in their shoes.
Yeah.
So you almost have to, I don't know, role play
Yeah.
in your own heads,
Yeah.
and putting yourself in someone else's shoes is not just putting you into their situation.
Yeah.
It's giving whatever they have as tools to yourself.
Yeah.
I can shut off my empathy very quickly,
Yeah.
and it makes me feel like a monster sometimes. But I know it's there. I use it. I use it better now than I ever did.
But at the same time, you talk about the fact that you have to. It sounds like it's something that you sometimes have to think about.
Oh, definitely.
But do you not think in some ways that there's a value to that, because you're so conscious of it that actually you think about how you utilize it and the purpose that it serves.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be empathetic in the moment.
Yeah.
Someone's crying right in front of me, really difficult.
Yeah.
I need a lot of it, very much because I'm very calculating, many, many different possibilities. ADHD, always thinking of pathways of conversations and just pathways of thoughts. It's really hard to be in the moment. And sometimes, even with my other half, I'll have to say, like, I can't deal with this emotionally right now.
Yeah.
We've disagreed on something. I can't deal with it emotionally. I'm going to go for a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
When I've stopped and thought and controlled the emotions better, which is powerful, can be used really well, but can also not work in every scenario.
Yeah. But
Even
go on.
detrimental in some scenarios. If you can't act immediately, sometimes people need that immediate reaction, and I can't give that a lot of the time.
Yeah. But you've created a space where you were able to articulate that and say,
I've worked with what I got, pretty much.
I've worked with what and look, that's fundamentally, I've worked with what I've got. I really like that, because I think in some ways, like I said earlier, that's you have to take stock of particularly when it comes to like neurodiversity, and there's certain societal expectations of how you should react to certain stimuli, how you should react to certain things, how you should respond to certain things, and how you should be. And then when you don't fit, or you don't feel that you fit into those kind of cookie cutter kind of responses, that it's easy for you to go, oh, this is what's wrong with me that I don't fit into that.
Yeah, that's why the subcultures sort of come about.
Yeah.
People love like getting into those cliques, because everyone wants to belong.
Yeah.
Everyone want to find their very, very place, but it's more fluid than that, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I used to be a bit of a rocker.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not in the rocker sort of clique. But I'm still a rocker. You just find your places where your chips fall. You can't force yourself into something you're not.
Yeah. Okay. So Jamie,
Yes.
what are you doing now? What are you actively doing now that you didn't do before, or didn't do as often or consistently, that has improved your mental well-being?
So many things. It's so
This could
many.
be a 6-part, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'm eating for a start,
Yeah.
which is a good start. I used to maybe have 1 meal a day,
Yeah.
and that not very substantial at all. Um, in the worst of it, I just wouldn't eat whatsoever.
Yeah.
My diet has definitely improved massively. Even my mum can't believe that I eat some fruit and vegetables now.
Yeah.
Shocker. Uh, I think a lot of it is due to that sensory issue as well.
Yeah.
But but definitely the depression just doesn't want you to try things either. There's no point. So my diet has improved tenfold from where I was. I've been eating many more things. Hydrating. You
Yeah.
really don't think about drinking until you take a sip of water and you chug a whole glass.
Yeah.
Because you know you're dehydrated. But if you can't get off the bed, there's no point in getting water. Going outside. I see more sunlight now than I have for a long time. I used to work in warehousing, funny enough. Not good for your mental health either. But I used to work where you'd go in early morning and then you'd leave and all you'd see is the sunrise and then the sunset.
Yeah.
No sunlight.
I've had that.
And in England as well, where it's overcast all the time. It's not fantastic.
And that's kind of the bit, like those.
That's the physical things.
Yeah, but those things sound really like they sound eating, drinking water, and yeah, seeing the sunlight. But those things, and you laugh, and those things sound really because it does sound so like
Of course.
of course, but they're the first things that get neglected, and studies show that if you're eating a healthy diet, if you are hydrating, if you get enough vitamin D and get outside, and there's a clear link between vitamin D and mental well-being, clear link between going and seeing the sunshine, getting outside and feeling the sun on your skin, that's very clear. But it also kind of passes the gut test as well, that people generally know that those are things that they should be doing. But they're also the first things that disappear. And that's a real problem because people either forget due to mental health issues, or just don't have the motivation to do those things.
Yeah.
And I think we have that motivation. They need to become a habit. But then actually, what underlines that? What underlines that fact that you're eating, you're drinking, you're going out and seeing the sun? Well, arguably, and it's different for everyone, but arguably part of that is that actually, right, I'm someone that's worth looking after, that's worth sustaining.
That's probably the biggest thing that's been built.
Yeah.
For the longest time, especially like the bullying, of course, massive effect on it, but no self-worth.
Yeah.
There was no. At first, I thought I was less worthy than others.
Yeah.
Massively, to the point where I had no worth. And then it rose to, I thought no one had worth. So
Yeah.
I didn't have worth. No one had worth. Life was terrible, all that.
Yeah.
And then it grew to people had worth. I had less worth than them.
Yeah.
And then slowly evolved into, I mean, everyone has worth.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I still have trouble believing I have worth, even though it's clearly evident that everyone has worth.
Yeah.
Everyone has something they can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much I push within this new career I've built or how many people I help, it's hard to put that worth on me in particular. But it's improving, so that's a big change.
Why do you think that is?
Honestly, it's one of the questions that I look back and go, it's probably the bullying. This like,
Yeah.
of course, it's going to have effect.
Yeah.
Is there anything else there? I don't know. It's one of the questions I've least explored because it's been the least immediate problem for me.
Yeah.
And I've solved a lot of immediate problems.
So now, in some ways, it reminds me of I've definitely we've definitely showed you this before. I don't know if we've gone over it, but Maslow's hierarchy of need. So
Oh,
Maslow's hierarchy of need is basically it's kind of exactly what it says on the tin, although it's a bit of a misnomer because in fact in his later work Maslow said that it's not so much a hierarchy and everyone's different, and it's not that you need this, then this, and this. But basically, Maslow's hierarchy of need is about what what every human being needs. Fundamentally, I'm trying to keep it, just real, kind of the fundamentals of it. And you're looking at, all of the obvious things that we've just spoke about. Your food, your water, the things that sustain you, your shelter, all of those things. But one of the key things at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of need is self-regulation. Self-actualization, not self-regulation. Self-actualization. And very much part of that is linked to being the best version of yourself. I think fundamentally it's like the best version of yourself, and feeling that you're part of something bigger. That you've got something to contribute to society. You're being the best version of you, and that you're experiencing the best version of you, and others are experiencing the best version of you. I've butchered that a little bit, but that's basically what it is fundamentally. And what you're talking about there is very much linked to that. Is that sense of I am worthy, and I have more to give. And not only, and this is something that we've spoke about before, not only should I put the best version of myself out there into the universe, for me, but actually in a way, I should be doing that for everyone. Like there's almost is there a duty that you are the best version of yourself that you can be in any given day. And we all have bad days, and and it fluctuates, and that's totally fine. I'm not saying that we all have to be 100% every single day, because that's a rod for your arm back. But what you're talking about there is the sense that actually you see that you are worthy, and that you have worth, and actually you can provide that worth to other people. And in many ways, that links back to the role model kind of stuff that we've been talking about.
I remember when we first met, you'd go, "I'll make you hippie one day. I'll get you."
Yeah.
And you got me a little bit, but I still recognise I'm on that journey, because the journey never ends. But this particular part of the journey is the self-worth of, are you good enough? I progressed to the point where I get my worth from others. So I get it from doing well here, from you, my other half, mostly from my other half.
Yeah.
And that's where my self-worth comes from.
Yeah.
But I recognise that. I know it should come from within as well. Certainly not there. But
So you have a lot of people telling you that you
recognise
have worth,
yeah.
but actually embedding that in you and internalizing that's something that you still struggle with.
Because I couldn't, before, even a half ago, I couldn't take compliments.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. We used to joke about that.
Yeah, I could not take compliments for the life of me.
Yeah.
Now I thank them. And that's it. And then it sort of sits there in this weird bubble of, cool, I have a compliment. Before it used to just go, oh, compliment.
Yeah.
Not worthy of thy compliments. But now I actually take them.
But do you think some ways that's linked to, because you said there about, you said previously about how, with that kind of nihilistic point of view, is that you not only did you not think that you were worthy and good and all, but actually everyone else. So a compliment from someone that doesn't have worth.
I mean nothing.
Mean? But now other people have worth, so you value those compliments more. But it's still awkward because you can't internalize that.
Sometimes it's difficult giving other people worth.
Yeah.
The world is a very mean place sometimes.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult, but you gotta recognize those small niceties.
Yeah.
When when other people are trying to be good, thank them, because you're not just thanking them, you're increasing their value to you as well. It's two-way street.
And that's like in the men's peer support group that we do here at MindKind. I see that a lot. I see that sense of actually people's self-worth gets kind of solidified and increased and sometimes reinforced, because in these interactions and these conversations, people will say, what you said really helped me, and I've utilised that, and thank you. And sometimes you'll see people, and I've seen it with you, there's almost that sense of, wow, there's that was, for people that are used to compliments, or people that kind of, don't have this issue with their self-worth, a compliment, it's still, it's lovely and it's nice, but I see from yourself and some other people in the group that actually it's more of a commodity.
Yes.
It's something that's valued more, but also something that's looked at in a strange, with not with everyone, but with a few people, it's looked at in a strange way of like, whoa, I've not had that in like, I'm not sure how to.
I mean, in general, men get far less compliments, especially like really genuine ones. So when we do get them, we hold on to them like a lot. We put so much worth into being recognised, because like if you've had an unfortunate upbringing or something like that, you could have had no compliments up to like 18 or further. And that's really sad, but it means a lot to people who just haven't had compliments. So they're super powerful.
They really are. But just expressing that sense of, like I said before, we have this negativity bias where we look for the bad within ourselves, we look for the bad within the world. That's just naturally how we're wired. So in many ways, like if someone says thank you, and you've supported me, or you've helped me, or your words, or just thank you for whatever it is, those one or two might not carry too much weight, but the more of those that you get, the more of those little bits of positivity, it can really chip away from that sense of actually the world, people a lot, that nihilistic worldview of people suck and I suck and everything's terrible.
You got to recognize it as well, though. Like you can get all the compliments in the world, but if you don't internalize it, and realize they actually mean it, like if you gave me compliments back when I was paranoid, I wouldn't have done a thing, because I would have just gone, they're lying to you, or they're trying to use you, or all these delusions that come forwards, but in actuality, they're just being nice.
So recently you gave this talk at a men's mental health seminar that we had. Again, same thing. If you'd have said if I'd have told you would do that, you'd have said absolutely not.
Just jog on.
But one of the key things that you spoke about was purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
And finding your purpose, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. It's a big topic.
I mean, I think the one universal thing all people are looking for is a purpose. To do something. Whatever it is, it could be, I don't know, collecting as much knowledge about jellyfish as possible, or building a giant company. Doesn't matter. There's purpose in something. Actually, I don't know if you've seen, there was that woman digging a tunnel underneath her house. In America, which, if that's your purpose, go for it. With planning permission, of course. But purpose is super important. It took a long time to find mine. And it's not my only purpose either. I thought my purpose was I was going to do animal care. I was going to look after animals. That made me happy. I did it for a while. The realities of animal care, harsher than the imagined experience, but worth it. And I could have done more, but there was no job opportunities for it. Life came to smack me down. And I had a purpose then, and I lost it. And that's also crippling. But your one purpose, you don't have one purpose. You have as many purposes as you want to take up and hold.
Yeah.
And the purpose I choose now, after a year and a half, and I did the speech, and the purpose is to just spread my story,
Yeah.
inspire other people, and improve not just other people's mental health, but the system surrounding it.
Yeah.
I want to help the operational efficiency of places to reach their audience better.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of inefficiencies. There's a lot of people slipping through the net, and I was one of them for quite a while. I don't want to wish that on anyone.
So what should have been? Excuse me. So what should have been, if you want to support systems to meet the needs of you in the past, what should have happened that didn't? What needs to change? Or needed to change then?
That is a loaded question.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, the one that's already been successfully done is the support leads in school.
Yeah.
I didn't have that support. The teachers were probably not trained to deal with people with my learning difficulties, because oftentimes ADHD is just seen as attention-grabbing behaviour.
Yeah.
It's not like fully recognised in school. You'd think it would be trained more, but I don't think it is, honestly. But if I had more support system in school, then I would have been caught by the net immediately.
Yeah.
If I went through college, I was put through psychiatric help, I was thrown onto medication that didn't help, but I didn't have the support network around that. It just gave me medication and go. That's not helping. That's trying to solve a problem with brute force, when there should have been, here's the medication and this support service that you can return to at any time for help.
So what, wider, more holistic kind of...
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not just... The NHS loves to streamline things, I find. They very much try to get a system in place that works and they can reuse over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant thinking, but doesn't work because of humans.
Yeah.
It's
not
so
one
different.
size fits all.
No.
Kind of. And how do you do that at scale?
It's... The thing I've seen is you do that at such a large scale, things get bogged down in bureaucracy.
Yeah.
This place and other small areas around here, the organisations, the smaller ones, they do much stronger work with individuals.
Yeah.
And it'd be really hard to manage, I know. But if you had an organisation for every single town, or multiple for every single town, that are funded, however they're funded, I haven't sat down and organised this entire
You've not jumped on Excel and got a spreadsheet.
I haven't got the solution. I only have my ideas. You want it more, less centralized system, because it's brilliant having these amazing, awesome systems that cover everything. But they're super fixed. You need a flexible, holistic way of helping people. And you really need small organizations that can, like, just molds to people's needs.
Move to need, mold to need.
And if they can't help them, signpost them
Yeah.
to people who actually can help them within their area.
Yeah.
That are accessible and not completely out of the way.
I think that's so. And to be fair, the NHS are their long-term plan. They're looking at so you wouldn't. I'm the kind of geek that reads stuff like that. There was no pre-reading for this.
I'm getting there.
But you know, the personalisation of care is what they call it, but it's exactly what you say. And the localisation of care as well. So basically meeting the needs of individuals and communities on a more focused, kind of holistic scale, fundamentally, is kind of what it's hopefully moving towards, and arguably he's getting there. But I think that is really, really important, because like the DSM, which is the book you use when you're looking at like mental health illness and mental health conditions. So it's like almost like, I suppose it's like an encyclopedia of mental health conditions, and then you look at kind of, this is what it is, this is how it manifests itself. But the problem is with that, everyone's different and there's so much nuance. And then you look at the complications in people's lives, and we live in a very complicated world where there's so much going on, you know, post-COVID. You look at housing, you look at, you know, social issues, you look at money, you look at loads, and then you look at someone's biology, more susceptible. So there's just so many moving parts that there's no fixed, well, this is ADHD and this is clinical depression, this is depression, this is anxiety, and here is the very clear solution. Now there's things that we know that science tells us supports that can help with these things, and we need to make sure people are more aware of that. But how you get them from where they are to hear that message, get them to a point where they can hear that message, get them to a point where all of the other noise that's going around that's impacting that mental health, like how am I going to afford my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? This is going on. I've got that going on. You know, there's millions and millions of variables. How you get them to that point where those scientifically backed solutions can kick in, I agree, that really needs to be very, very localized and very, very individual, because no one person, the walk that we took in the Arboretum, I could have said the exact same things to someone else, and they'd have gone, bloody hell's this guy on about?
Or like, I'll never badmouth the NHS,
Yeah,
because it's a really important system.
totally.
It's very needed.
Yeah,
it should be supported and made more efficient
yeah,
and just improved upon.
yeah,
But the NHS couldn't have given me that care.
yeah,
There's no feasible way I could have gone to the doctors and they put me into whatever the NHS has now to support me. It's not what I would have needed,
yeah.
and they would have failed at that point.
So it's about,
They would have put a band-aid on a wound.
so it's I suppose in some ways it's how do we work. There's room for there's space for both, yeah. Like there's these kind of holistic kind of therapies and these holistic kind of medications and other things that the NHS do, because they do a lot more than that. And social prescribing, which is the way you came to us. You know, the NHS are all over social prescribing. In fact, you came through an NHS pathway, which is absolutely amazing. But it's about how we make sure that all that is joined up, and that we understand that exactly like you said, that we move into the community need and we move into individuals' need. And like you said, that is really difficult on scale. Loaded question.
Hit me.
You ready? Jamie, you say you're mentally well. Oh, it's loaded, wasn't it? Jamie, would you say you're mentally well?
I would say no,
Okay.
but I'm better than I was.
No, but I'm better than I was. What would mentally well look like? Having good mental health.
Difficult to say. Like currently, I'm still struggling with aspects of ADHD.
Yeah.
I'm still depressed. My dyslexia cripples the way I do things massively. I'm still working around that. So mentally well is like, what is mentally well?
Yeah.
That's
That
the
was a
point.
loaded question.
Mentally well for me, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Mentally well is different for everyone.
Yeah.
Like you can clinically say what mentally well is, but that's not.
What is it for you?
For me, it's stable enough to just enjoy life and being the best person you can be,
Yeah.
enjoying life for yourself and sharing that with others
Yeah.
effectively.
Okay. So being able to feel okay within yourself and being able to be in a place where you can interact with others in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So it's part internal, how you feel within yourself, partly external, being able to present and interact with the world around you in a way that feels healthy.
Yeah.
Or have I completely tell me
No,
if you're like, no, that's not what I said.
Sort of. Yeah, it's not. There's no point in feeling. If I feel amazing completely,
Yeah,
but I screw everyone else over to do it,
yeah,
then that's egotistical. That's serving myself, but it's not just me.
yeah,
It's everyone. Like, you can't live life. We're social creatures.
yeah,
We can't go through life serving only ourselves, because everyone loves someone else.
yeah,
Whether it be your parents, your partner, the people who've inspired you in the past.
yeah,
You hold love for others, you hold liking for others.
yeah.
If you're screwing them over, what's the point?
So it's like that. Oh, I'm gonna have to Google it. What's the hedonic? And I'm gonna Google it.
Go for it.
I can never remember. 1 second.
Because to be fair, I used to be quite self-serving, right?
Yeah.
Because I only had the time to think about myself.
So that was it. I can always remember the hedonic. So there's different 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 definitions of well-being, different approaches to well-being, and you got the hedonic approach to well-being. I almost feel like I've only ever seen it written down, so I'm probably butchering that. But basically, hedonism, hedonic, it's based on the same, and it's basically well-being, and well-being and mental health is different. So I know I'm mindful of the fact that I took us somewhere slightly different, but hedonic well-being is like feeling a sense of well-being through feeling good all the time, feeling joy, the pursuit of joy, and we all need that. Like, we all need we all need things in our life that make us feel joyful. And if you haven't got that, then that's something that needs to be worked on, because we all need something that brings joy. Eudaimonic is a sense of well-being in the servitude of others. So it's like you feel good because you help other people. So you feel good because you work in a soup kitchen, because you are a teacher and you're supporting kids. You're being nice to your neighbour and bringing their bins in. I don't know, whatever the hell it is, but it's basically well-being comes from the servitude to others. And I think that's something that often, I think people think that well-being is always feeling good. And if you are serving others, you're not always going to feel good. It's difficult, it's hard. With what you do here, that it can be really tough. I think there's both of those things, and they're to have good, positive well-being, you kind of need both. You need to feel that you're part of something wider and you're contributing towards that. And I think for men, if you look at kind of the traditional gender roles of being a man and providing and looking after the community and all that kind of stuff, that certainly feeds into it. You also need something that you can get completely absorbed in and lost in and joyful about. But I also think well-being is knowing that you're not exactly what you said. You're not always going to feel good. Life can be really rubbish sometimes, and something can happen. You can lose people. You can, I don't know. The TV stops working. You misplace your bus pass. Like I say, someone dies. You lose your job. life isn't always going to be good and easy, but well-being is I think both of that for me, kind of both of those two things, but also the sense that actually you know that things will get better.
It's having the right framework
Yeah,
to build your mind around, because we didn't evolve to be happy.
yeah,
We evolved to survive.
yeah,
And a lot of our behaviors now, I think, correlates to that,
yeah,
where especially ADHD people took a niche. They think, like, the theory so far about ADHD is like this is a niche within how we evolved for certain things, but
yeah. So development.
we don't need to be happy to survive.
Yeah,
But humans don't just want to survive.
yeah,
We want to be happy. Feels good. So
Yeah.
that takes active work to build your mental framework to be happy. You can't just rely on what you naturally think.
yeah. And do you feel that that's something that you've done? You've built that framework.
I think so. I think I've slowly built up a decent enough
Yeah.
framework to, if something bad happens, it used to be the end of the world.
Yeah,
If I'd fail something, here's a great example. I tried cooking. When I started, I was really bad at cooking.
yeah,
And I never really knew the reason why, apart from the fact that typically, since I'm from typically working class sort of family,
yeah,
we had to look after my disabled sister. My mum had to, my dad always worked. We went for easy meals.
yeah,
So just really easy to cook, rather bland
yeah,
food. Plus I had sensory issues about food when I
Yeah.
was younger. So it was really boring. I didn't learn to cook properly. And when I started learning and I tried cooking, now I'm okay at cooking. I made a meal
yeah,
and I messed it up
yeah.
and it tasted terrible.
What was it?
You know, I actually blocked it out of my memory.
I don't want to speak about it. It was that bad.
That's so bad. I think it was something like a little bit more complicated than I'm used to.
Yeah,
And when I cook, I have to prepare all the ingredients.
yeah,
I have to get them all out. They all have to be in their own things, like the American cooking shows. All ingredients ready to go, so I can just go.
yeah,
Otherwise, it stresses me out. But I did this slightly more complicated meal, and I failed.
yeah,
Tasted terrible. Had to eat it anyway, because the only, otherwise I'd have cooked him. But I have no shame in saying I cried
yeah,
because I failed.
yeah,
It was so harsh, that initial failure.
yeah,
And because I was cooking it for the person I love, it just hit me really hard.
yeah,
And that's before I built a framework of, yeah, you're going to fail. Well done. But it slapped me down so hard that I cried over a slightly not well cooked meal.
Resilience.
I built that resilience of, and it wasn't just the meal, it's just the failure of it. So I built that framework of, I'm going to fail. And if you're going to fail, at least fail upwards. Every failure you do, you learn something.
Yeah,
So when I cook, I have to keep very strongly in mind, it doesn't matter if I mess it up, if it's something new. Or even if it's something not new and you're doing it again. If you fail, it happens. And I can just do it better next time. I had to build the logic patterns in my brain, that framework to not kick myself every time I failed at something.
yeah. And that's like, we kind of evolved to, so the way our brains work is, it's always the pursuit of I will be happy when, and from that perspective, I will be happy when I cook this really nice meal, fundamentally. And the research tells us that actually, when you achieve something that you tie happiness to, actually the lasting effects on your well-being is somewhat minimal. So people that buy a new car, I want to say there's a 6 hours of jumping into my mind, but it's really small, the window of yes, I've achieved this thing. And obviously it depends on what it is. It's not the same. It's not the same cooking a meal as it is buying a house. But either way, the window is much, much smaller. And then you realise sometimes that exactly like you said, that building that framework and the joy can sometimes be found in the process of actually doing things and wanting to get better, and it's the process that is it's pursuing the process that is well-being sometimes, not necessarily the outcome.
Sometimes it's letting go as well.
Yeah.
I found the more I wanted to understand ADHD,
Yeah.
I know much more about ADHD now, and I'm still learning much more. But a lot of the goal was, I'm going to go get diagnosed.
Yeah.
Because the first learning test I got, they said, you're definitely dyslexic, you're probably ADHD, here's all the signs of it and stuff. And then over the course of learning about it until now, I've got ADHD.
Yeah.
But the big thing was, I was going to go get diagnosis.
Yeah.
And everything relied on that goal.
Yeah.
I was like, after I get diagnosed, I'll do this. And I set that barrier of entry.
Yeah.
And then I'm still on the waiting list for it.
Yeah.
But I don't care for it anymore.
Okay.
I realise I don't need that diagnosis to just be me and then set goals. I don't need to wait for the diagnosis to continue on
Yeah.
with my life. And I had to let that go because it was weighing far too much on my mind, dragging down the rest of it.
So you were, with this diagnosis, then everything becomes, I can move on with my life once I have this diagnosis.
But it,
Wait to live.
yeah, pretty much. And then you just realise I've just got to live anyway.
Yeah.
I don't need to wait for it because it's a barrier of entry that's unrealistic, especially with the current waiting times.
Yeah, 100%. So you just got to live anyway. You've got to sometimes burn the dinner, and you've got to carry on trying to cook, and you've got to carry on. It's been a year and a half, and you feel like you've come a long way, and I've certainly seen that journey. What does the next year and a half look like?
Very good question. Not something I think about a lot because a lot of my a lot of just what I do is me in the moment.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to plan so far ahead in the future because I'll overplan and then everything gets complicated and then too much and then dysfunction comes in and I just shut down. All I can say is just way more improvements. I've got to learn way more about ADHD. I'm going to start the support group. So I've got to absolutely smash that. Probably improve my language skills a bit.
Communicate well?
No, speaking, perfect. Writing, terrible.
Okay.
So dyslexia is something I've neglected about my personal development, and it's something I need to work on.
Yeah.
Because even when I'm writing, just normally, if someone's over my shoulder, can't write.
Yeah.
Because just the embarrassment of how bad it is. Okay. So that's something I've got to improve on. Hopefully we continue doing this for quite a while. Just build myself up here.
Yeah.
Help as many people as I can. Hopefully just build myself into a better person, honestly.
Yeah. Do you think you will?
You know what? The nihilistic part of me says probably not, but
yeah.
Now I've got that actual hope side that says, yeah, you'll be fine, mate. You'll be good.
I tell you what, hope goes a long way. Hope goes a long way.
I've got enough support systems in place. I have my own framework that is there and ready to be utilised. I think a lot of people that are where I was will go, how do I become confident? How can I be better? How can I face the things that slow me down, drag me down?
Yeah.
And you'll find a lot of people online will tell them all these little tricks and all these things to act confidently. But that's a lot of what it is. It's acting.
Yeah.
To actually get past a lot of what they're being held back by is to face it, and not immediately. I would never want to turn back around and face the paranoia in total, in whole. I would never want to go face all the bullies again in total.
Yeah.
But the only way I became resilient was to face each one of them bit by bit, step by step. It's slowly dripping instead of throwing the bucket over, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to face something to build up that resilience. Yeah.
Slow growth.
Doesn't matter how slow you go. You have to do it if you want to get resilient.
Yeah. I think on that note, thank you. That was fantastic.
Yeah. All good fun. Thank you for listening to the MindKind Men's Wellbeing Podcast. I hope to see you next time.